I'm going for him, guys. Protect.
Or you have a Titan. Never mind.
Dude, my Titan is still stuck there. Look at that, guys. It's still stuck there.
Yeah, it just locked. You got bugged there. Weird.
Oh, what? That is weird.
It's 9-9. Let's take the win here.
Well, that was bullshit.
Shit.
Oh fuck.
Who's?
So we ran.
We might as well lose.
Ben Harrison, stay with our guys, okay?
Is someone with the Titan guard that
Penguin's guarding him.
Kill the guy, please.
Working on it. Just he's being guarded by a Titan. It looks like he's getting into a Titan now.
Okay, going after him.
No, he's nuking.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is. Oh, wait. No! Maybe a draw. Damn it.
Oh.
Oh, time ran out.
We could have got that easily. We just needed a bit more time to actually kill him.
Well, yeah, we were talking most again.
We did pretty well.
Yeah, I think Area left because that conversation was driving him mad.
I enjoyed it.
It's not good. It's kind of...
Oh yeah, by the way, Doc, welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome, Doc. I mean, that's fair, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know of anything else nearly as wonderful as our cosmos, as our origins, as these things that are, you know, we can study, we can demonstrate, and we can look into the night sky, and we can see these things. We can see stars and supernovas, and whenever you look out at the night sky and you see a bright light and you know that it's a supernova, you can look back at yourself and think, some of those molecules are on me. I made the same stuff.
Yes, after all, we are just star stuff.
Yeah, that's a Lawrence Krauss quote.
Let's just say, I gotta admit, you're right. The universe is exceedingly complex, but hear me out. Just hear me out. Earth is very big as well, right?
No. It's
Not relatively.
Alright, let's just use Earth as a reference size. Earth is pretty big. Let's say there was absolutely no...
It's tiny.
Alright. Let's just say in relation to our conversation, it's pretty big. Let's say Earth is around, the size of an atom. Let's just say it's the size of an atom. If you were to be so conceited to think, it's just, like I said, my argument is that it's impossible, even with the rule of infinite probability, that we would end up with life one day. So if you were to be conceited enough to think that even though the Earth is that big, and let's just say this atom seems to be fucking this new element that the universe has never seen before. Fuck, for all I care, it's got 500 protons and only 100 fucking electrons. It's unstable, but it works. And let's just say this thing is fucking magic, because according to life is fucking magic in comparison to the universe. Would you be conceited enough to think that there's possibly the odds that even though the Earth is revolving and doing its thing, one day we're gonna have that same atom again?
Whoa.
Even though this atom is borderline magic?
Could you condense?
I don't even understand. I mean, there were so many premises in your point that I found problems with.
Okay, I'm just telling you, the Earth is obviously moving. Let's just say geographically. Let's say there's no life. Let's say, but Earth still applies to all of its currents. I'm next. Everything applies. Let's say there's this new atom, and this fucking atom is magic, because it defies our laws of physics. It has 400 protons, and it only has 100 electrons.
Just a quick expose, real quick. If we were to be able to find it, and we could study it physically, which is the implication of your idea, then it would no longer be considered magic as it be understood.
Like I said, it defies our rules of physics.
Then we would have
stable.
to rewrite physics.
Alright, and this thing is stable. Oh, shit.
Alright, I mean, if we rewrite physics, okay.
I didn't even realize I was standing right next to the marked target. That's a fail. Right, but to be considered and think this thing, or this fucking piece of magic atom could exist again, that's like, unless, like you said, unless there was someone who actually studied it and said, hey, we can replicate this again if we combine these materials.
Well,
it's not a matter of replicating.
Yeah,
just if it exists.
Right, but to think, will it exist again?
Yeah.
Do you think? Because the
Why
Earth
not?
has never done it. It's never replicated again. In fact, some of our materials, even here on Earth, only exist because... Oh, fuck, shotgun. Because of, even before the creation of the Earth, like, mainly gold was
You
actually
keep
created in
saying
the sun.
creation, you mean formation. Go ahead.
You're right, I do keep saying creation, but I keep having the sensation that... Whatever, formation.
Well,
We'll just say
I'll
magic
say this.
formations.
I'll say this. Your argument reminds me somewhat of this, and it's almost a parable. So I'm not trying to use it as some kind of argument in credibility. But say you're playing Jeopardy, right? And you know all the letters to word besides two.
I'm marked.
And it's you know EVO, it's EVL TION, right? And then you're like, okay, there's some missing holes there. You know, what is the word? What you're basically saying is, okay, well, that's pretty obviously that it says evolution, but, you know, we don't have all the missing links there, so I'm just going to say creation. It's this old argument that Viperion actually mentioned earlier. It's called the God of the Gaps. And it's the argument we've been using for generations to be able to explain things we don't yet understand. So even if I was to assume the things you said were correct, which I don't, because the premises are faulty as all hell, but even if I was to assume those things, that wouldn't advance your arguments at all. Why would it not advance your argument? Why would it not
I'm really
advance your
getting tired of this dude. I keep hitting him, but he doesn't die.
Why would it not advance your argument? Because... Wow, fuck, I forgot what I was doing because I was so engrossed in the game.
Talking about the God of the Gaps.
Oh, yeah, you know... I mean, it wouldn't advance your argument at all. Why? Because, I mean, think about it. There was an entire Greek pantheon of gods dedicated to things like pulling the sun across the sky. I think it was... I forget
Vulcan.
the guy's name, but it was an iron chariot. Yeah, Loki? No? It's not Loki.
Pretty sure it was Vulcan.
No, that's
That's
the
fire?
messenger.
Uh,
Was it Hermes?
no, Hermes is messenger.
Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. But there was a god dedicated to pulling the sun across the sky in his chariot. I mean, this is why what I told you about earlier. It's like we as humans are pattern-seeking mammals. We want an explanation why we prefer a conspiracy theory over no theory, and why we prefer junk science over good science. And it's why I said Christianity and religion in general has a special place in our human solidarity, because it was our first attempt at these things. I mean, before we had chemistry, we had alchemy. Before we had astrology, we had astronomy. Or before we had other way around. Before we had astronomy, we had astrology. It's our very first attempt at these things, but that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't advance your argument at all to say that, because all you're doing is looking at a gap and saying, look, God could have done that. And that argument is ever regressive. Why? Because every day we learn more about the universe. Every day we learn something we didn't know previously. And that's why science is beautiful. That's why religion, at least in my standing, is a fool's errand. Because what it does, it says, my ignorance is just as good as your knowledge. And that's not true at all. And to prove that all you have to do is look at your phone or your computer or your keyboard or your mouse.
The IMC are trying to escape by dropship. I've marked their evac point for you. Take them out before they get
So,
away.
again, cool. Even if I was to say your argument is correct and all the premises are true, which I'm not because it's faulty, that wouldn't change anything at all.
The enemy dropship. Reach the enemy evac point. Watch your six.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sorry, Sorry if somebody's speaking to me in my other ear, I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna be, you know, a jerk about it. I really didn't listen because I was talking to someone.
Okay, I'll quickly recap in a condensed format. Basically, what your argument is, can you hear me now? I just want to make sure before I start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, stop talking to them.
Do you know what a God of the Gaps is?
No.
Okay, well, God of the Gaps is a common, it's honestly a logical fallacy. And it's basically saying, look at this gap in our knowledge, you know, we don't know what this is, right? And therefore God must have done it. And back a long time ago, this was what we used to explain the world around us. I mean, before we had chemistry, we had alchemy. Before we had astrology, we had before we had astronomy, we had astrology. And these things have formed with us in a sense. We used to have, whenever somebody in the or pre-science world, the pre-knowledge world, or whatever you want to call it, the pre-enlightenment world, whenever they looked at something they didn't understand, like a volcano or like a plague,